Men are moved by two levers only: fear and self-interest. Napoleon Bonaparte: mercy is a luxury you cannot afford. The world doesn't care about your feelings. It doesn't reward kindness. It only respects strength. The myth of nice guys finish last is not just a saying, it's a brutal reality. Weakness is preyed upon. Hesitation is punished. The naive believe that playing fair will somehow guarantee them a win. They confuse politeness with power and compassion with strategy. These are the sheep. We are not. They tell you to be understanding, to forgive, to turn the other cheek. They preach about empathy and compromise while sharpening their knives behind your back. They sell you the lie that being agreeable is the path to success, while they exploit your good nature for their own gain. These are the wolves in sheep's clothing. They smile while they steal. They comfort while they conquer. And they will use your own empathy against you. Power, real power, is not about being liked. It's about being respected, or failing that, feared. It's about having the will to do what others won't, to make the choices others are too afraid to make. It's about understanding that sometimes the only way to win is to be ruthless. Not cruel, but utterly, unapologetically ruthless. This isn't about sadism. It is about survival. Consider the battlefield. A soldier showing mercy to the enemy is a dead soldier. A general hesitating to give the order is a losing general. In the arena of life, the stakes are often just as high, though the battles are more subtle. Your career, your relationships, your dreams, these are all battlefields. And on these battlefields, mercy can be a fatal flaw. The problem with mercy is that it assumes your opponent will reciprocate. It assumes a level playing field, a shared sense of morality. But the world is full of those who operate without such constraints. They see your mercy as weakness, an opening to be exploited. They will take advantage of your kindness, bleed you dry, and leave you for dead. This isn't to say that compassion has no place in the world. It does, but it must be tempered with cold, hard realism. You can be kind, but you must also be strong. You can be forgiving, but you must also be vigilant. You can be empathetic, but you must also be ruthless when necessary. Understand this. Your emotions are tools. Empathy can be a powerful tool for understanding your opponent, for anticipating their moves. But it can also be a weapon against yourself, blinding you to the truth, making you vulnerable to manipulation. Learn to control your emotions, to use them strategically, to turn them on and off at will. The world is a zero-sum game. Every advantage someone else gains is a disadvantage for you. Every opportunity they seize is an opportunity you lose. You cannot afford to be generous with your resources, your time, your energy. You must hoard them, protect them, and use them strategically to advance your own interests. Forget the fairy tale. Forget the idea that good things happen to good people. The universe doesn't care. Success is not a reward for virtue. It is a prize for those who are willing to fight for it, to claw their way to the top, to do whatever it takes to win. And sometimes that means showing no mercy. This is not a call to be a monster. It's a call to be a warrior who understands the true nature of the world, who is prepared to face its darkness, who is willing to do what is necessary to protect themselves and their own. A warrior who knows that sometimes the greatest act of compassion is to be merciless to those who would do them harm. The illusion of control is shattered when faced with a predator. Those who believe in a just world, a fair playing field, are swiftly disabused of their notions. The wolves do not play by the rules. They do not adhere to the societal contracts that bind the sheep. Their only code is the law of the jungle, survival of the fittest. And in the jungle, mercy is a death sentence. Therefore, cultivate a power that transcends empathy. Develop a mental fortitude that allows you to make difficult decisions, even when they cause pain. Embrace the uncomfortable truth that sometimes the only way to protect the innocent is to be willing to become the monster they fear. This is not about reveling in cruelty. It's about accepting the burden of leadership, the responsibility to make the hard choices that others cannot. Recognize the subtle forms of manipulation that are used to disarm you. Guilt trips, emotional blackmail, appeals to your sense of fairness. These are all tactics used to weaken your resolve. Learn to identify these tactics and to resist them. Do not allow your emotions to be used against you. Become a master of psychological warfare. Understand the motivations of your opponents, their fears, their weaknesses. Use this knowledge to your advantage. Anticipate their moves, disrupt their plans, and exploit their vulnerabilities. This is not about being malicious. It's about being strategic. Remember, power without mercy is not about inflicting pain. It's about preventing it. It's about creating a world where the strong protect the weak, where justice prevails, and where those who seek to exploit others are met with unwavering resistance. It's about building a fortress of the mind, impervious to manipulation, immune to fear, and committed to the pursuit of truth and justice, even when the cost is high. This is the path to true power. This is the path to survival. This is the path to victory. Your emotional responses are a battlefield. Every feeling, from anger to compassion, is a potential weakness to be exploited. Learn to observe your emotions without being consumed by them. Detach yourself from the immediate surge of feeling and analyze it. Ask yourself, what is triggering this response? Is this reaction serving me, or is it being used to control me? This distance allows you to choose your actions deliberately, rather than reacting impulsively. It transforms you from a pawn into a player. The ability to delay gratification is a cornerstone of mental fortitude. Our modern world is designed to deliver instant satisfaction, weakening our capacity for self-control. Resist the urge for immediate pleasure. Embrace the discipline of delayed reward. Train yourself to endure discomfort, to persist through challenges, knowing that the ultimate payoff will be far greater than any fleeting indulgence. This is the path to building true mastery over your impulses. Fear is a powerful weapon, both when used against you and when wielded by you. Understanding your own fears is critical. What are you most afraid of losing? What situations cause you the greatest anxiety? Confront these fears directly. Expose yourself to the things that scare you, gradually increasing the intensity of the exposure. Each time you face a fear and overcome it, you diminish its power over you. You become more resilient, more confident, and more capable of taking decisive action in the face of adversity. Learn to cultivate a ruthless honesty with yourself. Most people avoid introspection because it can be painful. They prefer to cling to comforting illusions about themselves and the world. But self-deception is a fatal flaw. It blinds you to your weaknesses, preventing you from addressing them. It makes you vulnerable to manipulation. Embrace the uncomfortable truth about yourself, your limitations, your biases. This brutal honesty is the foundation upon which you can build genuine strength. Develop a deep understanding of human nature. Study the psychology of persuasion, the dynamics of power, the patterns of behavior. Read history, biography, and sociology. Observe the people around you, noting their motivations, their strategies, their vulnerabilities. The more you understand how people think and act, the better equipped you will be to anticipate their moves, influence their decisions, and protect yourself from their manipulations. Embrace the power of strategic thinking. Avoid impulsive reactions. Before taking any action, consider the potential consequences. Analyze the situation from multiple perspectives. Identify your goals, your resources, and your obstacles. Develop a plan, anticipate potential challenges, and adapt your strategy as needed. This deliberate, calculated approach will give you a significant advantage in any situation. Cultivate the ability to remain calm under pressure. When faced with a crisis, most people panic, losing their ability to think clearly and act effectively. Train yourself to remain grounded, to maintain your focus, even in the midst of chaos. Practice deep breathing exercises, mindfulness techniques, and visualization exercises. These practices will help you to regulate your emotions and maintain your composure in stressful situations. Learn to master the art of deception. This does not mean becoming a pathological liar. It means understanding how to control the information you reveal, how to create misdirection, and how to manipulate perceptions. Deception is a tool, and like any tool, it can be used for good or for evil. Use it strategically to protect yourself and others, to achieve your goals, and to disrupt the plans of your enemies. Develop a strong sense of personal responsibility. Do not blame others for your failures. Do not make excuses for your shortcomings. Take ownership of your actions, your decisions, and your outcomes. This sense of responsibility will empower you to take control of your life, to learn from your mistakes, and to strive for constant improvement. Understand the importance of self-reliance. Do not depend on others for your happiness, your security, or your success. Develop the skills and resources you need to be independent. Cultivate a network of allies, but always be prepared to stand alone. Self-reliance is the ultimate form of freedom. Embrace the power of solitude. Spend time alone, reflecting on your thoughts, your feelings, and your goals. Solitude is a time for introspection, for self-discovery, and for the cultivation of inner strength. It is a time to recharge your batteries, to clarify your vision, and to prepare yourself for the challenges ahead. Learn to cultivate a warrior mindset. This does not mean becoming aggressive or violent. It means developing the mental and emotional resilience to face adversity head-on. It means embracing challenges, pushing your limits, and never giving up. It means cultivating a spirit of courage, discipline, and determination. Remember that true power is not about domination or control. It is about self-mastery. It is about cultivating the mental, emotional, and spiritual strength to live a life of purpose, integrity, and meaning. It is about becoming the best version of yourself and using your power to make a positive impact on the world. Develop the skill of reading people. Pay attention to nonverbal cues, facial expressions, body language, tone of voice. Learn to recognize the subtle signs of deception, manipulation, and hidden agendas. The ability to accurately assess the character and intentions of others is an invaluable asset in any situation. Cultivate a deep understanding of your own values. What principles are you willing to defend, even at great personal cost? What are your non-negotiables? Defining your values will provide you with a moral compass, guiding your decisions and actions, and ensuring that you remain true to yourself, even in the face of pressure. Learn to manage your energy effectively. Recognize your peak performance times and schedule your most demanding tasks accordingly. Prioritize sleep, nutrition, and exercise. These are not luxuries. They are essential for maintaining your mental and physical stamina. Embrace the concept of continuous learning. Never stop seeking knowledge, developing skills, and expanding your understanding of the world. Read widely, attend seminars, take courses, and seek out mentors. The more you learn, the more adaptable and resilient you will become. Cultivate a strong sense of self-discipline. This is the ability to control your impulses, to resist temptations, and to persevere in the face of challenges. Self-discipline is the foundation of all achievement. It is the key to unlocking your full potential. Learn to think critically. Question everything. Do not accept information at face value. Evaluate the evidence, consider alternative perspectives, and form your own conclusions. Critical thinking is essential for navigating a world filled with misinformation and propaganda. Develop the ability to make decisions quickly and decisively. Indecision can be paralyzing. Train yourself to analyze situations rapidly, weigh the options, and choose a course of action. Even if you make mistakes, learn from them and move forward. Cultivate a sense of gratitude. Appreciate the good things in your life, even the small ones. Gratitude fosters contentment, reduces stress, and increases resilience. Remember that power is a tool. It can be used for good or for evil. Choose to use your power wisely, responsibly, and ethically. Strive to be a force for good in the world. Learn to forgive, but never forget. Forgiveness is essential for healing and moving forward. But do not forget the lessons you have learned from your experiences. Use those lessons to protect yourself and others from future harm. Develop a sense of humor. Laughter is a powerful stress reliever. It can help you to maintain perspective, even in the face of adversity. Cultivate a spirit of resilience. Life is full of setbacks and challenges. Learn to bounce back from adversity, to adapt to change, and to never give up on your dreams. Remember that the journey to power is a lifelong process. There is no destination, only continuous growth and improvement. Embrace the challenges, learn from your mistakes, and keep striving to become the best version of yourself. Consider the story of Akio Morita, the co-founder of Sony. In the post-war ruins of Japan, Morita didn't just see devastation, he saw opportunity. He didn't whine about the lack of resources, he engineered solutions. He saw the limitations imposed by a crippled economy, and he relentlessly pushed beyond them. Imagine the cultural pressure in a society built on deference and tradition, yet he dared to challenge established norms, to innovate in ways that were considered radical at the time. This wasn't about being nice. It was about survival, about building something enduring from nothing. He understood a fundamental truth. Sentimentality is a luxury the ambitious cannot afford. Morita's ruthlessness wasn't about cruelty, but about unwavering focus. He was single-minded in his pursuit of technological excellence and global market dominance. He didn't hesitate to make difficult decisions, to cut losses, to reallocate resources where they would yield the greatest return. Picture him facing down skeptical investors, battling entrenched competitors, and navigating complex international markets. He wasn't concerned with being liked, but with being respected, and, more importantly, with achieving his vision. This meant sometimes making unpopular choices, disappointing people, and prioritizing the long-term health of the company over short-term gains or personal feelings. Think about the Walkman. It was a revolutionary product, but initially it faced resistance within Sony itself. Engineers and marketing executives doubted its appeal. Morita, however, saw its potential. He bypassed the internal bureaucracy, pushed the project forward, and ultimately proved his doubters wrong. This wasn't just luck. It was the result of his conviction, his willingness to bet on his own judgment, and his refusal to be swayed by conventional wisdom. He acted with the authority of someone who knew his vision was the right one, and he didn't apologize for it. Morita understood the psychology of competition. He knew that the business world was a battlefield, and that only the strong survive. He wasn't afraid to play hardball, to exploit weaknesses in his competitors, to seize opportunities when they arose. He didn't view this as unethical, but as a necessary part of the game. He understood that in order to win, you had to be willing to do what others were not. This required a certain level of detachment, an ability to separate personal feelings from strategic decisions. He wasn't afraid of failure, but he was terrified of mediocrity. He instilled a culture of relentless improvement at Sony, constantly pushing his employees to innovate, to take risks, to challenge the status quo. He understood that complacency was the enemy, and that only by constantly striving for excellence could the company maintain its competitive edge. This meant demanding the best from his people, holding them accountable, and creating an environment where failure was tolerated as long as it was accompanied by learning and growth. The key lesson from Morita's example is not about being heartless, but about being clear-eyed. It's about understanding the realities of the world, about recognizing that success often requires making difficult choices, and about having the courage to act decisively, even when it means going against the grain. It's about prioritizing the mission above personal feelings, and about being willing to sacrifice short-term comfort for long-term gain. This isn't a call to be cruel, but a call to be strong, to be resilient, and to be unwavering in your pursuit of excellence. It's a reminder that true power comes not from sentimentality, but from the ability to make tough decisions and to execute them with unwavering resolve. It's about seeing the world as it is asterisk, not as you wish it to be. The trap lies in mistaking kindness for weakness. The weak confuse empathy with indecision, allowing their emotions to cloud their judgment and paralyze their actions. They believe that being liked is more important than being effective, that avoiding conflict is a sign of strength rather than a symptom of cowardice. They prioritize the comfort of others over the achievement of their goals, sacrificing their own ambitions on the altar of social approval. This desire to be perceived as nice becomes a cage, trapping them in a cycle of self-sabotage and unfulfilled potential. They fear upsetting others, so they compromise their own values and dilute their own vision, ultimately achieving nothing of significance. Their reluctance to make difficult decisions, to confront uncomfortable truths, or to demand excellence from themselves and others becomes their downfall. They are well-intentioned, perhaps, but their intentions are ultimately irrelevant. The world rewards results, not intentions. The path to power is paved with hard choices, with sacrifices, and with the willingness to stand alone when necessary. Those who seek universal approval will find themselves perpetually adrift, tossed about by the whims of others, never charting their own course, never reaching their destination. They get caught up in endless debates, weighing every possible outcome, agonizing over potential consequences. They overthink, overanalyze, and ultimately overcomplicate the situation. They are so afraid of making the wrong decision that they make no decision at all. This paralysis by analysis is a common affliction of the weak, a self-imposed obstacle that prevents them from taking action and seizing opportunities. They seek perfect information before acting, forgetting that perfect information is rarely, if ever, available. They wait for the ideal moment, the perfect conditions, failing to realize that the ideal moment rarely arrives on its own. It must be created. In the meantime, while they are busy contemplating and deliberating, others are acting, others are moving forward, others are claiming the prize. The world does not reward those who hesitate, it rewards those who dare. The weak are masters of excuses, always finding reasons why they cannot act, why they cannot succeed. They blame their circumstances, their upbringing, their lack of resources, their lack of opportunity. They see themselves as victims, powerless to change their fate, convinced that the world is conspiring against them. This victim mentality is a self-fulfilling prophecy, reinforcing their sense of helplessness and preventing them from taking responsibility for their own lives. They fail to understand that true power lies not in controlling external circumstances, but in controlling their internal responses to those circumstances. They cannot change the hand they are dealt, but they can choose how to play it. The weak are easily swayed by emotion, allowing their feelings to dictate their actions. They react impulsively without thinking, often regretting their decisions later. They are slaves to their passions, unable to control their anger, their fear, or their desire. They are easily manipulated by others, their emotions used against them to achieve ulterior motives. They lack the self-discipline to resist temptation, to delay gratification, to endure hardship. They seek instant gratification, quick fixes, and easy solutions, failing to understand that true success requires patience, persistence, and unwavering dedication. The weak avoid conflict at all costs, believing that peace and harmony are always preferable to confrontation. They are afraid of ruffling feathers, of making enemies, of creating discord. They prioritize superficial harmony over genuine progress, sacrificing their own principles and compromising their own values in the name of maintaining the status quo. They fail to understand that conflict is often necessary for growth, that disagreement can lead to innovation, and that challenging the status quo is essential for progress. They are afraid to speak their minds, to stand up for what they believe in, to challenge authority. They prefer to remain silent, to blend in, to avoid drawing attention to themselves. They are followers, not leaders, content to let others make the decisions and set the direction. They lack the courage to assert themselves, to defend their interests, to fight for what they deserve. They are easily intimidated by those who are more assertive, more confident, or more powerful. They back down easily, giving up their ground without a fight. They are accustomed to being taken advantage of, to being walked over, to being treated with disrespect. They accept their fate passively, without complaint, convinced that they are powerless to change it. The weak seek comfort and security above all else, avoiding risk and uncertainty at all costs. They are afraid to step outside of their comfort zones, to try new things, to embrace the unknown. They prefer the familiar, the predictable, the safe. They are content to live a life of quiet desperation, never realizing their full potential, never experiencing the thrill of adventure, never achieving anything truly remarkable. They are afraid of failure, of rejection, of ridicule. They allow their fears to paralyze them, preventing them from taking action and pursuing their dreams. They play it safe, never taking chances, never pushing themselves to the limit. They live a life of mediocrity, regretting their missed opportunities and unfulfilled ambitions. Ultimately, the trap of weakness is a trap of the mind. It is a self-imposed prison, built from fear, doubt, and insecurity. It is a belief system that limits potential and prevents one from achieving true power. Breaking free from this trap requires a fundamental shift in mindset, a willingness to confront one's fears, to embrace discomfort, and to take responsibility for one's own life. It requires the courage to make difficult choices, to stand up for what one believes in, and to pursue one's goals with unwavering determination. It requires the ability to control one's emotions, to resist temptation, and to delay gratification. It requires the self-discipline to work hard, to persevere through adversity, and to never give up. It requires the strength to be honest with oneself, to acknowledge one's weaknesses, and to continuously strive for improvement. Only by overcoming these internal obstacles can one truly unlock their potential and achieve the power that lies dormant within. The world will test you, it will push you to your limits, and it will try to break you. But if you have cultivated the mental fortitude to withstand these trials, you will emerge stronger, more resilient, and more capable than ever before. The path to power is not easy, but it is attainable. It requires sacrifice, discipline, and an unwavering commitment to excellence. But the rewards are immeasurable, a life of purpose, fulfillment, and lasting impact. The strategy for wielding power without mercy isn't about gratuitous cruelty. It's about ruthlessly prioritizing effectiveness. Sentimentality and compassion, while valuable in personal relationships, become liabilities when decisive action is required. Consider the surgeon who hesitates to make the necessary incision because of empathy for the patient's pain. That hesitation, however understandable, could cost the patient their life. Similarly, in the pursuit of power, whether in business, politics, or personal endeavors, clinging to empathy when it hinders progress is a form of self-sabotage disguised as virtue. The Machiavellian approach demands a cold, calculated assessment of every situation, devoid of emotional bias. It requires the ability to identify and exploit weaknesses in others, not out of malice, but out of strategic necessity. To shrink from this is to allow your opponents to exploit your own vulnerabilities. This is not to say that one should actively seek to inflict harm, but rather that one must be prepared to do whatever is necessary to achieve the desired outcome, even if it means causing discomfort or distress to others. The objective is always the paramount concern, and all other considerations must be subordinate to it. This requires a degree of detachment that many find unsettling. It means viewing people as pieces on a chessboard, evaluating their strengths and weaknesses, and maneuvering them into positions that benefit your own agenda. It means being willing to sacrifice pawns to protect your king, or even to sacrifice your queen if the situation demands it. It means understanding that alliances are often temporary, and that loyalty is a rare and precious commodity. Therefore, rely on your own capabilities above all else. Develop the skills and resources necessary to achieve your goals independently, and only form alliances when it is strategically advantageous to do so. And when you do form alliances, be mindful of the potential for betrayal. Always have a contingency plan in place, and never allow yourself to become overly dependent on others. The key is to maintain control, to be the master of your own destiny, and to never relinquish your power to anyone else. Furthermore, the strategy of power without mercy involves a deep understanding of human psychology. It requires the ability to anticipate the reactions of others, to predict their behavior, and to manipulate their emotions. This is not about being a mind reader, but rather about being an astute observer of human nature. Learn to recognize the subtle cues that betray a person's true intentions, the unspoken desires that drive their actions, and the hidden fears that motivate their choices. Use this knowledge to your advantage, to influence their decisions, to shape their perceptions, and to control their behavior. For example, learn how to use flattery to disarm your opponents, how to use intimidation to deter them from challenging you, and how to use deception to mislead them about your true intentions. Master the art of persuasion and learn how to frame your arguments in a way that appeals to their self-interest. Understand that people are often motivated by irrational desires and that their emotions can be easily manipulated. Learn to exploit these weaknesses and use them to your advantage. This is not about being dishonest, but rather about being strategic in your communication. It's about presenting your message in a way that resonates with your audience, that appeals to their emotions, and that motivates them to take the desired action. It's about understanding their values, their beliefs, and their fears, and tailoring your message accordingly. The art of deception, while not always morally justifiable, is an indispensable tool in the arsenal of those who seek power. It involves creating illusions, concealing your true intentions, and misleading your opponents about your capabilities. This is not about outright lying, but rather about creating a carefully constructed narrative that serves your own purposes. Learn to be a master of disguise, to adapt your persona to different situations, and to project an image that is both appealing and intimidating. Understand that perception is often more important than reality, and that people are more likely to believe what they see and hear than what is actually true. Use this to your advantage and create a reality that favors your own agenda. Learn to control the flow of information, to shape public opinion, and to manipulate the media. Understand that those who control the narrative control the world. However, power without mercy is not simply about exploiting others. It also requires a relentless focus on self-improvement. Continuously strive to enhance your skills, to expand your knowledge, and to refine your judgment. Never become complacent and always seek to learn from your mistakes. Be willing to adapt to changing circumstances and never allow yourself to become rigid in your thinking. The world is constantly evolving, and those who fail to adapt will be left behind. Therefore, embrace change, be open to new ideas, and always be willing to challenge your own assumptions. Continuously seek out new opportunities and never be afraid to take risks. The greatest rewards often come from the greatest risks, but be calculated in your risk-taking. Never gamble recklessly and always weigh the potential benefits against the potential costs. Understand that failure is inevitable, but that it is also an opportunity for growth. Learn from your failures and use them to become stronger and more resilient. The most successful people are not those who never fail, but those who learn from their failures and keep moving forward. Furthermore, power without mercy requires a ruthless dedication to efficiency. Eliminate all unnecessary distractions and focus solely on the tasks that are essential to achieving your goals. Be ruthless in your time management and prioritize your activities according to their importance. Delegate tasks whenever possible and never be afraid to ask for help. Surround yourself with talented and capable people and empower them to take ownership of their responsibilities. The goal is to create a system that operates smoothly and efficiently, with minimal waste and maximum output. This requires a disciplined approach to decision-making. Avoid impulsive decisions and always take the time to gather all the relevant information before making a choice. Weigh the pros and cons carefully and consider the potential consequences of each option. Be objective in your analysis and avoid letting your emotions cloud your judgment. Once you have made a decision, stick to it and do not second-guess yourself. The key is to be decisive, to be confident, and to be consistent. This efficiency extends to your personal life as well. Cultivate habits that support your goals and eliminate those that hinder them. Get enough sleep, Eat a healthy diet and exercise regularly. Take care of your physical and mental well-being and never allow yourself to become burned out. The pursuit of power is a marathon, not a sprint, and it requires sustained effort and unwavering dedication. And finally, understand that the exercise of power, even without mercy, comes with responsibilities. While the Machiavellian approach prioritizes effectiveness above all else, it does not necessarily condone unethical behavior. The truly powerful understand that long-term success requires a degree of integrity. While they may be willing to bend the rules when necessary, they avoid outright corruption and blatant disregard for the law. They understand that a reputation for honesty and fairness, even if it is carefully cultivated, can be a valuable asset. Therefore, strive to maintain a balance between ruthlessness and integrity. Be willing to make difficult choices, but always consider the potential consequences of your actions. Understand that power is a double-edged sword and that it can be easily misused. Use your power wisely and always strive to create a positive impact on the world. Consider the Roman Empire, a civilization built on military might and strategic expansion. Their legions were renowned for their discipline, their tactical prowess, and their unwavering loyalty. But their success was not solely due to brute force. The Romans understood the importance of logistics, engineering, and administration. They built roads, aqueducts, and fortifications that enabled them to project their power across vast distances. They also developed a sophisticated legal system and a complex bureaucracy that allowed them to govern their vast empire effectively. Their power was not just about military strength. It was about the ability to organize and control resources, to plan and execute long-term strategies, and to maintain order and stability within their territories. The Roman generals, men like Julius Caesar and Scipio Africanus, were masters of psychological warfare. They understood how to demoralize their enemies, how to exploit their weaknesses, and how to inspire their own troops. They used propaganda, deception, and intimidation to achieve their objectives, and they were not afraid to employ ruthless tactics when necessary. Their campaigns were often characterized by a calculated indifference to human suffering, a willingness to inflict maximum damage on their opponents, and a relentless pursuit of victory at all costs. The Roman approach to warfare was not always merciful, but it was undeniably effective. They conquered vast territories, defeated numerous enemies, and established a lasting empire that influenced the course of Western civilization for centuries. Their success was a testament to their ability to combine military power with strategic thinking, organizational skills, and a willingness to do whatever it took to achieve their goals. However, the Roman Empire also serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked power. The emperors, who held absolute authority, often abused their power for personal gain, indulging in extravagance, corruption, and tyranny. Their decisions were often arbitrary and capricious, and they were often surrounded by sycophants and flatterers who reinforced their worst instincts. The Roman people, who initially supported the empire, eventually grew resentful of the emperor's excesses and the corruption of the ruling class. They lost faith in the government and became increasingly disillusioned with the political system. This led to widespread social unrest, economic instability, and ultimately, the decline and fall of the empire. The Roman experience demonstrates that power without mercy can be a corrosive force, both for those who wield it and for those who are subjected to it. It can lead to abuse, corruption, and ultimately, the destruction of the very institutions that it is intended to protect. The pursuit of power should always be tempered by a sense of responsibility, a commitment to justice, and a recognition of the inherent dignity of all human beings. Without these constraints, power becomes a dangerous weapon that can be used to oppress and exploit others. The lesson of the Roman Empire is that true power is not just about the ability to control others, but also about the ability to control oneself, to exercise restraint, and to use one's power for the common good. Furthermore, analyze the concept of total war, a strategy employed throughout history where nations mobilize all available resources, both human and material, for the purpose of complete annihilation of the enemy. World War II serves as a stark example, where the Allied and Axis powers engaged in a conflict of unprecedented scale and brutality. The industrial capacity of nations was channeled entirely into war production, and civilian populations were subjected to relentless bombing campaigns. The psychological impact of total war was immense, as entire societies were mobilized to support the war effort, and individuals were forced to confront the horrors of mass destruction and loss. The ethical implications of total war are profound. The targeting of civilian populations, the use of weapons of mass destruction, and the disregard for international law all raise serious questions about the limits of acceptable conduct in warfare. The principle of discrimination, which requires combatants to distinguish between military and civilian targets, is often violated in total war, leading to the deaths of countless innocent people. The concept of proportionality, which requires that the harm caused by military action be proportionate to the military advantage gained, is also difficult to apply in the context of total war, where the stakes are so high and the consequences so far-reaching. The decision to engage in total war is a momentous one, with potentially devastating consequences for all involved. It requires a careful calculation of costs and benefits, a clear understanding of the ethical implications, and a willingness to accept responsibility for the outcome. It is a decision that should never be taken lightly, and only as a last resort, when all other options have been exhausted. The pursuit of victory at any cost can lead to moral compromises that undermine the very values that the war is being fought to defend. The ultimate goal of any conflict should be to achieve a just and lasting peace, not simply to annihilate the enemy. The lessons of history teach us that power without mercy can be a dangerous and destructive force, and that true strength lies in the ability to exercise restraint, to uphold ethical principles, and to strive for a better future for all. The line between necessary force and outright cruelty is blurred by the fog of war, by the desperation for survival, by the intoxicating allure of absolute control. It's a line each individual must draw for themselves, and then defend, not with empty words but with unwavering action. Because the moment you surrender your moral compass to the supposed necessities of power, you become a slave to that power. You transform from a warrior into a monster, indistinguishable from the enemy you claim to fight. Consider the cost, not just in lives and resources, but in the erosion of your own soul. Every act of unnecessary violence, every instance of unchecked aggression, chips away at your humanity, leaving you hollow and vulnerable. True power isn't the ability to inflict pain, but the strength to resist the temptation to do so. It's the self-command to choose the harder path, the path of justice, even when expediency beckons. This is not weakness. It is the ultimate form of control, the dominion over yourself. Understand that mercy is not a sign of weakness, but a demonstration of strength. It takes far more courage to show compassion in the face of adversity than it does to succumb to the primal urge for retribution. Mercy is not about forgiving the unforgivable, but about choosing not to become the very thing you despise. It is about refusing to let the darkness consume you, about maintaining your integrity even when surrounded by chaos. This is the essence of psychological resilience, the bedrock of inner dominance. The world will try to break you, to force you to compromise your values, to convince you that the only way to win is to abandon your principles. But you must resist. You must stand firm in your convictions, even when it seems impossible. Remember that true power resides not in the weapons you wield, but in the choices you make. It's in the moments of crisis, the tests of character that define who you truly are. The battlefield is not just a physical space. It's a psychological arena where your beliefs are constantly challenged, your resolve tested, and your limits pushed. Your mind is your fortress, and your principles are its walls. Defend them fiercely, for they are all that stand between you and the abyss. Do not confuse ruthlessness with efficiency. A surgeon's scalpel is merciless, but it is guided by a desire to heal, to restore, to preserve life. The same principle applies to all forms of power. Use it with precision, with purpose, and with a clear understanding of the consequences. Never revel in the suffering of others, for such actions are a sign of weakness, not strength. Instead, focus on achieving your objectives with the minimum necessary force, and always strive to minimize collateral damage. The true test of leadership is not how many enemies you defeat, but how many lives you save. So, cultivate the discipline to make the hard choices, the ones that demand moral courage and unwavering resolve. Learn to control your impulses, to channel your aggression, to temper your emotions. Become a master of yourself, and you will become a master of your destiny. The world needs warriors, but it also needs healers, leaders, and visionaries. Be all of these